The abuse of vigilantism, a legal, moral, and religious analysis. In societies plagued by insecurity and distrust of institutions, it is not uncommon for individuals to attempt to take justice into their own hands. While such actions may be understandable in desperate circumstances, they are illegitimate from various perspectives: legal, moral, and religious. Vigilantism, driven by frustration, not only undermines the rule of law but also endangers the lives and integrity of the accused, who deserve a fair trial. 1. The presumption of innocence, a pillar of law in any state governed by the rule of law. As in the case of Peru, the presumption of innocence is a fundamental principle enshrined in the Constitution and international human rights treaties. This principle establishes that every individual is innocent until proven guilty in a trial with all due legal guarantees. Taking justice into one's own hands turns the community into judge and executioner, violating fundamental rights such as due process and the right to a defense. Extrajudicial sentences, like lynchings, not only deny individuals the right to a fair trial but also pave the way for fatal errors, such as condemning the innocent based on mere suspicion or prejudice. 2. Life and human integrity, a legal priority. The respect for life and physical integrity are fundamental rights protected by Peruvian law and international instruments such as the American Convention on Human Rights. Under no circumstance can the execution of a person be justified, even if they are guilty of a crime, without due process. The Peruvian Penal Code imposes severe penalties on those who engage in acts of violence, even if done under the pretext of defending the community. The death penalty is abolished in Peru, except in exceptional cases such as treason in times of war, meaning that any action resulting in a person's death outside a judicial process is illegal and classified as homicide. 3. The concept of a presumed criminal. It is crucial to remember that, under the presumption of innocence principle, established in Article 2, subsection 24(e) of the Peruvian Constitution, every person is considered innocent until proven guilty in a fair trial. Labeling someone as a criminal without a judicial sentence is to prejudge them, leading to serious abuses, such as lynchings or acts of violence driven by collective anger. Article 151 of the Penal Code penalizes the crime of coercion, where the use of violence or threats to compel a person to act against their will is considered a punishable act. Threats that instill fear through posters or messages encouraging lynching may fall under this category, legitimizing the use of violence. 4. Lynchings and abuse, acts constituting serious crimes. Vigilantism, whether through beatings, public humiliation, or threats of lynching, is a crime that endangers the lives and physical integrity of individuals. Article 108 of the Penal Code punishes homicide, while Article 121 sets out penalties for cases of serious injury. Collective violence does not absolve participants from criminal responsibility. Moreover, Article 297 of the Penal Code establishes that violent actions organized by a group with the intent to intimidate, assault, or cause harm also constitute a crime. Lynchings organized in some areas could be prosecuted under this article if it is proven that there was coordination among neighbors to carry out these acts of violence. 5. The moral dimension, respect for human dignity. From a moral perspective, the notion that life comes first must prevail in any society. No one has the moral right to take another's life, regardless of the crimes of which they are accused. Acting violently dehumanizes both the victim and the aggressor, and turns society into a space governed by fear and vengeance. Collective violence is not only immoral but also undermines the ethical foundations of a society that should aspire to justice, compassion, and mutual respect. 6. Religion and the value of life. In many religious traditions, the value of life is sacred, and revenge or extrajudicial violence is condemned. In Christianity, for instance, forgiveness is promoted, and there is a belief that only God has the right to judge a person's life and actions. The teachings of most religions advocate that it should be a rightful authority, or, ultimately, God, who decides an individual's fate, not a mob of citizens. 7. The importance of legal authority. The judicial system exists precisely to ensure that any accusation is treated seriously, justly, and within the framework of legality. Authorities are duty-bound to investigate and punish crime, but always while respecting due process. Taking justice into one's own hands not only denies the possibility of a fair trial but also weakens the rule of law. When a community acts as judge, jury, and executioner, The risk arises of undermining the legitimacy of institutions, promoting an atmosphere of anarchy where force replaces law. Those who participate in acts of popular justice are not exempt from legal responsibility and may face criminal charges such as homicide or grievous bodily harm. 8. The role of the state, guaranteeing security and upholding the rule of law. The lack of confidence in institutions does not justify the rise of popular justice. On the contrary, it signals that the state must strengthen its security and justice mechanisms. Article 44 of the Peruvian Constitution establishes that the state's primary duty is to guarantee the security of its citizens, protect their fundamental rights, and ensure the maintenance of public order. The proliferation of signs inciting lynching reflects a structural problem in the administration of justice. However, the solution cannot come from violence, but from the strengthening of judicial and police institutions so they can act effectively and restore public trust. Conclusion: popular justice is not justice. Vigilantism, no matter how much it is driven by desperation, can never be a valid response. It is a form of uncontrolled violence that violates the basic principles of the rule of law and human rights. Taking justice into one's own hands undermines the dignity, integrity, and life of the accused, who deserve a fair trial and to be treated as innocent until proven guilty. The only way to maintain an orderly, just, and equitable society is by strengthening the judicial system and trusting competent authorities to administer justice impartially and transparently. Illegal actions, no matter how fueled by frustration they are, only exacerbate the problem and create a more dangerous environment for all.